Fight fans, welcome back to Carl Perza MMA. Today we got one of my favorite guests to the show. He's back again. He is Mr. Rico Disciullo, getting ready, taking the gloves off once again, returning to BKFC, taking on Stash December 20th. Rico, what's going on, my friend? How you been?
Been good, man. Good. Just putting out working in the gym. I'm actually in the sauna right now. The boys are getting at it, and just prepping for the next fight.
Absolutely. So, last time in action, February 1st. Made your BKFC debut. Excellent fashion. You're supposed to go again in the summer. Things didn't work out. Fight got scrapped kind of last minute. And now you're making your second appearance. After all that time from the first time, you excited to go in there and now do it?
Yeah, man. I mean, nothing worse than last minute scratch to a fight, right? Especially when you sell a bunch of tickets and people are there and everybody does everything they can do to get the fight to happen and it just fell apart. But, still, it's nice to get back to Mohegan Sun. So, you know what I mean? It's probably about 2 hours from Boston. So, my fans still take the ride. I feel like it's, I'm the hometown kid pretty much over there. Last time I had that place, fucking the roof popping off that place, it was wild. Put on a show, got the finish, and, on to the next.
For you, you've been doing this for such a long time. Do you find comfort in the local scene? Do you like that? Does it matter?
Yeah, for a long time, I actually hated it, to be honest. Because it's like, you got your sisters, your aunts, everybody and your mother there, and it's just, they're all asking you the same questions. How you feeling? You're going to beat this guy? It gets kind of annoying. Sometimes it's nice to just dip out and be the bad guy, have everybody boo you and show everybody what's up. But as of late, past couple of years as I've matured, and I just think as I love the sport now, and I've have a lot of experience, so I've experienced everything. Now I almost harness it and embrace it. So now I almost enjoy it more because I get to put a show on live for my friends and family. You know what I mean? So I've been around the New England scene for a long, long time. So there's usually hundreds of people, there for me. You know what I mean? So it's usually a great time, and I get to put on a show for them, and that's what it's all about.
You've been doing this for such a long time. It's kind of crazy, man. You've been doing this, Topology says, till 2010. So 2010 competing. Obviously, fighting is a roller coaster, man. It's the highest of highs. It's the lowest of lows. How have you changed? How have you evolved through that journey? Do you look at combat sports a lot different now than you did when you first got into this?
Still the same, still similar. I love the competition. I'm still a dog if I have to be. I can still be very technical when I have to be. I feel like I embrace things a lot differently now. I'm almost comfortable with the uncomfortable, which I feel like is a huge part of this sport. Enjoying the journey. And as of late, especially I almost after having a couple of knee injuries, knee surgeries, not knowing if I'm going to come back, and then grinding back, you don't take it for granted. You know what I mean? I'm really blessed to be able to keep doing this at a high level, and I feel like I'm truly getting better and better. So I'm not going to stop until I feel like I'm going back. I'm not climbing that mountain. You know what I mean? So with experience, I think has made me a lot better because I always had the skill. I always worked really, really hard, but sometimes transferring that into the fight, your nerves, the adrenaline, sometimes you get a little too crazy or you you let your emotions get the better of you. Now I feel like a true professional. I'm 110% prepped for the moment, and I know how to translate everything I do in the gym and bring it into the fight night and put on a big show and do everything I can to get the finish.
We talked about before how important the mental side of fighting really is. And I think it's even more when you take the gloves off to do any sort of bare knuckle. You roll with the crew, you yourself, you got Charles Rosa. You guys are true dogs, man. You guys are some of the toughest dudes in this sport. For you, has the mental side come easy?
Yeah, well, I always tell myself, especially me and Charles, we went through a lot as kids. He lost both of his brothers, one of my best friends, both of my best friends really. And when you start to get those nerves before fights, we always talk about it. We always remind ourselves we got them over our shoulders, and there's a lot harder and crazier things that you can go through in life than a fist fight. You know what I mean? Let's be real. At the end of the day, it's just a fight. There's a lot worse, crazier things going on around the world. And at the end of the day, yeah, they're professional, they're good, but this is what we work our ass for. We work our ass off every single day to compete at a high level, and we perform and we train with guys that are at the highest level every single day. So it's the mental side of it. I feel like we were kind of bred with that at a very young age. That was instilled into us very early, and I think that's a big, big part of what's gotten us to that next level.
Speaking of Charles Rosa, I think Charles Rosa just did the most Charles Rosa thing ever. Basically, bare knuckle ice fights. Went
Yeah,
out there,
man.
got a big win. Was that pretty cool for you to watch him in this element?
Yeah, it was wild because like I didn't really know what to think of it. I wasn't sure. I've never seen it before. You know what I mean? So I didn't even really know exactly the rules, how they were going to have people come out. I didn't know if they were going to have helmets on, no helmet, no gloves. I didn't know what was going on, but it was really cool. They put it together, pretty sweet. It was fun. It was entertaining. And he got the W and, on to the next.
Any chance maybe we join Charles with skating fights?
I'm not, no way. I'll be in beat. I'm not getting on the ice. No chance. They pulled me in a couple of times to play hockey. And, I was pretty good, but I couldn't stop for shit. So I was that kid in Mighty Ducks that would just slam I would either knock somebody dead or just slam into the boards and die myself. So I'm all set fighting on ice.
Absolutely. Throughout your whole time in MMA, man, you've always made a name for yourself as being one of the most fun, entertaining fighters out there. Your striking truly is a thing of art, man. Your movements. Do you really feel this whole bare knuckle boxing game, does this set perfect for your style?
Yeah, it truly does. And, the crazy part is the only reason I kind of got into it is because, after the Ultimate Fighter, I was working to get back to the UFC when I tore my knee again. And it really made it hard to train for fights. And I really couldn't take that time off again. After the third time of tearing my knee, one time I had to reconstruct it. It was just a lot. You know what I mean? So I was like, I can't take the time off. The time is now. And I started with a lot of boxing because it was easier on my knee. And listen, I'm a striker to begin with. I feel like that's that's where I always want to keep the fighters striking. And boxing in general, I've been doing a lot of boxing the past couple of years anyway with my buddy, my coach, Eddie Alvarez. So it kind of fit right into everything, you know what I mean? And I've always wanted to box professionally. I just jumped into professional MMA first, so I didn't want to go backwards and go into pro boxing because once you're a pro in MMA, you have to be a pro in boxing. It's not like I could go an amateur route in boxing and then so it's kind of worked out, everything kind of happened for a reason, it feels like, and I feel like this platform especially is made for me. I base a lot of my striking, success on my footwork and movement and being able to fight lefty and righty very, very cleanly and, make it kind of seamless. And I've also had a lot of experience doing bare knuckle before I got into MMA. A couple of things that weren't exactly legit, but, I've had that experience. So I knew what it was like to fight without the gloves. But on this stage, obviously, it was a lot different. But, it was pretty much the same. You know what I mean? It really didn't make too much of a difference. It was a fist fight,
When you compare training camps from a mixed martial arts training camp to a bare knuckle training camp, obviously, there's probably some similarities or some differences, but is training for bare knuckle, is it easier on the body? Is it a big difference?
Well, the thing with MMA, there's just so much more because of the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu and whatnot, and because of my knee, it's easier. Like I still train really, really hard, and I still really push it. But I think it's a lot different with the technical side of it because I shy away from using big gloves closer to the fight because I don't want to get in a bad habit of blocking and using my glove as padding. I want to make sure I'm filling the holes to block. You have no gloves on. It's a lot easier to get to. So a lot of training and stuff I do, even with MMA gloves or even like real small padded gloves to work your defense to make sure you're not leaving holes. A lot of head movement drills. I think defense, footwork is the key to get, you know what I mean? The name of the game is hit and don't get hit, especially in bare knuckle. If you can do that at a high level, I think you're going to have a longer career and you're going to be more successful.
You've dedicated about a year now in this world of bare knuckle boxing. Do you feel just by doing it almost every single day, getting ready for this platform, you feel your striking is improved?
Oh, 100%. My striking, I've always just tried to get better with everything that I'm doing with MMA. Like when I was doing MMA, obviously I was always working on jiu-jitsu because I feel like striking came to me way more natural. So I was always working on ground stuff and defense and offense, jiu-jitsu. But now I just focus on striking. And specifically boxing. I only teach a couple kickboxing classes. I'm not even really doing jiu-jitsu right now or wrestling. Really just focusing in on boxing for the most part and a little bit of kickboxing. But majority is just boxing, so it cleans up a lot of things. You know what I mean? I really, really tighten everything up. And if you can, you can never be perfect. So the more and more you put into it, the better off you're going to be. And I feel like I was already dangerous and a problem before, so I'm just getting better and better.
We really saw you on a mainstream stage a few years ago, obviously being on The Ultimate Fighter, Team McGregor, driving his Lambo, one of the most viral knockouts in Ultimate Fighter history. Now you find yourself on the platform, Conor McGregor, an owner as well. Do you feel it's kind of a full circle moment?
Yeah, a little bit, but like I was saying, it was kind of happening anyway, pretty much. He's not the reason I kind of got into bare knuckle was Sean Wheelock. So Sean Wheelock was a guy that watched my, he's obviously one of the best on the planet with doing commentary, and has been doing it forever. And he saw he was doing commentary for my Bellator debut, my pro debut for Bellator. I got a big knockout, and ever since then we kind of kept in touch. And then I ended up doing commentary with him for Combat FC. And so after the Ultimate Fighter, in between the Ultimate Fighter, after I was doing commentary for them, and I was doing it with him a lot. And he was like, "Man, you're striking. You'd be perfect for BKFC." I was like, "I don't know. I was still doing MMA, and then I tore my knee." And I was like, "You know what? They've asked me a couple of times. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's a faster track to get back competing and see how my knee feels, and then from there I go back to MMA." But I took that first BKFC fight, and I loved it, man. Like, it really suits my style. Like I said, the 2-minute rounds, it's straight, nothing but bare knuckles, but you can also clinch and do things a little differently than you can with boxing, so it's a little more up my alley with like the dirty boxing. You can kind of clinch, you can use bumps and things that you can't really use in boxing. So for what I've done my whole life, I feel like it suits me very well.
Absolutely. It's kind of cool. The area that you're from, that Massachusetts area, so many great fighters in the UFC and all these different promotions. Now going to fight in that area again on this one. Parker Porter on it once again. You have Slippery Pete Barrett on the card. Last time Randy Costa was fighting with you. Is it pretty cool to fight alongside these other big names who've been doing it for a while?
Yeah, it's awesome. All these guys, we've come up on the same scene together. You know what I mean? So, Peter, I trained with for years. He's a boy, one of my boys. All the guys, even guys that I don't necessarily train with New England, we all know each other because we've all come up on the same scene together. You know what I mean? All fought for like CS, Cage Titans, Combat FC, all the New England promotions, even Bellator, seen each other at higher levels, or even like, all over the place. So it's really cool. We all kind of follow each other's career. And it's kind of cool because I believe, like, I know our fans do now. So, like, all our fans are kind of intertwined because we've all seen each other fight so much that it's like, when I sell my buddies tickets, they're like, "Oh shit, Peter's on the card. Oh shit, So it's cool. It's cool. We get a lot of love from like New England. Great fight area. Everybody loves fights, and like this promotion is killing it. Like BKFC, I think they've really really done a great job from top to bottom. From taking care of the fighters to making great matchups to the production. Everything.
We've talked about before, man. You've been on this game for such a long time now. You've had some great moments, but I really feel like you haven't truly breaking it out yet. You haven't had really your coming out party. For you, is this promotion the time to do it?
Yeah, right now I'm on, put the pedal to the metal. Like I said, this promotion suits me very, very well in my skill set. It's all about just staying healthy, getting to the fights. That's it. If I can stay healthy, get to the fights, I'm going to put on a show, and I know I can be, one of the biggest names in this sport for sure. Like it's just suited for me. Like everything I do when I fight, between the footwork, the setups, trying to finish, you know what I mean? It's a no brainer. I feel like it has my name all over it. You know what I mean? I feel like if I was already a couple of years in, I would already be one of the top guys in the sport. Easy.
What were the reactions like from people when you told them, "Hey, I'm going to take the gloves off. I'm going to try this bare knuckle stuff"?
I mean, a lot of people were like, "Shit, that's going to, I can see you really doing well there." You know what I mean? Like, especially a lot of my buddies that grew up with me, been in a lot of tough situations. I'm usually the one handling business for a couple of guys that get out of line at a bar or something. But no, for real. I mean, I've been doing it for a long, long time. And, everybody was pretty confident. You know what I mean? They were really kind of confident. And they were like, "Yeah, man, that I can see you doing really, really well there." I don't really take a lot of damage. You know what I mean? Like, I don't take a lot of damage standing up. If I ever have, it's probably been a little bit on the ground. But even then, I really, really, really focus on movement and defense. I feel like that's the only way you're going to have longevity in this sport. You can't go into this sport, especially playing rock'em sock'em robots and just like swinging away. Yeah, you might have a cool fight or two, but you're not going to last.
Absolutely. What have your kids been thinking about this endeavor?
My son loves it. He's he's actually been in the gym with me, helping me train and whatnot sometimes. Now he's a little busy because he plays club baseball. He's into basketball. He's into all regular sports now. He was competing in jiu-jitsu for a little bit, but I don't try to like force him to do anything. As long as he's active, playing some sports and competing and doing what he wants. Like he was in here yesterday with me, doing some pads and stuff. So it's cool. It's he's not going to be there this time. He's got my nephew has a soccer tournament in Florida, so my family's going down there to watch that, which is kind of nice. So leave me alone a little bit. I get some, I get to chill out. They can watch it on TV. You can watch it on DAZN.
Absolutely. So you're getting ready, making your return December 20th, taking on Stash Kuykendall. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent here?
I think it's a good opponent. He's 6-1. I'm going up a weight class too. It's at 155. Bigger guy. So I think my power translates regardless. Though I think, I've been in the gym with guys and training with guys from pretty much heavyweight down. You know what I mean? And my power is always translated. But you got to be smart about how you approach it. You know what I mean? I think my footwork, my movement, and my setups will be a little bit too much for him. And sooner or later, I find my opening and I capitalize, just like every other fight. But, I don't go out there with a specific game plan, because sometimes you go out there with a specific game plan and the way that they're moving just doesn't suit it. So I'm more of a guy that goes out there and it's all feel, it's all reaction, it's all, just pretty much just experience.
What's behind that decision, wanting to move up in a weight class here?
Well, so it happened last time in BKFC. If things with so they moved the weight class, the weigh-ins last time, and last time they had the weigh-ins at the hotel, and I made a mistake and I messed up, so I actually missed weight by a little bit, and I couldn't get back because they moved it across to the casino. So I drove over to the casino. I had to go back to my hotel to cut the extra pound. I just didn't have enough time. So they were like, do you want to just fight at 155? You don't have to worry about cutting weight. I was like, yeah, sure. It doesn't matter. I feel like in this format, it shouldn't matter too much. It's, you know what I mean? The guy can't lay on me. He can't hold me down. It's not wrestling. It's a stand-up fist fight. You know what I mean? So it's going to come down to my boxing skills.
In all of your fights, for you, it's obvious you're always going for the kill. You're so much fun to watch. You have that killer instinct. You're always trying to finish the fight. Coming in this one, are you expecting a finish?
Yeah, every single fight I get into for the rest of my life, I will expect a finish. 100 in this format. That is the only way to go about it. I'm going in there 110% to get the finish, knockout, TKO. I don't care, but it is not going 5 rounds.
For you, do you take a lot of pride in that live by the sword, die by the sword mentality?
If the kid's tough enough and he survives, he survives. I still think I'm going to win the fight if it goes to a decision. It's just not the plan, But no matter what, I'm coming out with my hand raised. But I'm going for the finish. It's just my style. It's what I do. It's just I can't change who I am. You know what I mean? I set up to finish. That's it.
In this stage of your career, man, what's the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal, who knows, just keep knocking guys out and hopefully get to a title shot potentially. You know what I mean? If I can bang out a couple big wins this year, listen, there's a lot of guys at 140. Who's the champ at 145? Kai, Francis, whatever. Who's giving that dude a problem? Not really. Not too many people can challenge him right now, and I feel like I could be a nightmare for him. You know what I mean? He's just a pressure fighter. He's very unorthodox. He's tough. He's more of a mental challenge to figure out, because he moves very unorthodox. He closes distance, so he smothers your game. But listen, I'm a guy with big power that can knock anybody out around this weight class. So I feel like I could cause a lot of problems for him. So who knows? Get a couple big knockouts. Maybe I'm fighting for a world title this time next year.
That 145 division, very stacked in BKFC. Obviously you have Kai Stewart, the champion over there. You have Nathan Rivera doing big things. You have Stridham. You have Gary Fox, all these big names at 145. Are you now, when you see these guys fight, are you thinking, maybe we're only a couple fights away from duking it out with the big guys in that division?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't really care yet. I'm going to get, right now I'm focusing on the next fight. And then once this is done, then whatever name they throw at me, we'll talk. Then I try not to get too ahead of myself. That's when you can make mistakes. It's nice to, I think about it. Like I think about, like I said, potentially fight next year for a title or close to it or something like that, some big money fights. But I don't take any opponent lightly, man. Like this, I'm going up another weight class, kid's a lot bigger. So it's going to be, you gotta be honest with what it is. You know what I mean? You got to be serious about the situation and not take it for granted and not, not take it lightly.
This stage of your career, do you think this is some of the most fun you've ever had in combat sports?
Yeah, for sure. I love it too, because it's a little bit of everything. Because at my gym right now, I'm at Eddie Alvarez Family Boxing Gym, which is down the street from my house. So it helps a lot. It helps me out a lot. My kids are in here with his kids. It's like a family gym where we got some up and coming kids that are going to be some good solid boxers. And then I teach over at Kyle Bachniak's gym. So it's like very family oriented. and it's fun. I'm teaching over there, but like I'm enjoying it. Like I'm not really stressed so much about anything except just getting to the fight. Just get to the fight, and then I'm happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, as long as everything's good, the fight's on, I'm not really worried about it. Training camp, we know what to do. We know how to prepare ourselves. We know how to make sure that we're ready. And that's it.
Obviously you've been at this sport for so long. You were a fan when the sport wasn't really cool yet. Mixed martial arts, combat sports, It wasn't as prevalent. It wasn't as global. It wasn't as accepted as it is now. When you first started watching as a fan, who were some of those first influences that you maybe molded your style off of or gave you the inspiration to do this?
So I remember coming home watching it from when it was like the WEC, right? Like coming home watching the free fights WEC when they had like, who was it? Who was the 35 champ? It was
Mike Brown?
Miguel Angel Torres. He was a fun one to watch because the reason why I liked him a lot because he was my body type. Long, super long and skinny guy, but he was a killer. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh man, if this dude can be a world champion at 135, man, I can do this too. You know what I mean? So someone like him was like a big influence. Obviously, all the young, like smaller guys, because WEC, they had like, the lower weight classes. They had the 35ers, the 45ers. I think it was at that time, only the guys in the UFC, the lowest weight class was 155, right? Yeah, so I loved the WEC, and they took a lot of talent. Aldo came from there. People forget, dude. The WEC was Stats, Cerrone, all those guys.
When you first started getting into this, if someone told you, 15 years later, you still be doing this at one of the highest levels the sport has to offer, would you believe them back then?
15 years later, no way. Like, if I was like, yo, I'm doing the best I can do, like the best I can be, and competing at the highest level, like almost at 40, man, I feel great. No, but that just shows like I've been competing and training in the gym. I haven't taken time off, so it's like I feel I'm better now than I was years ago. You know what I mean? I'm just getting better. Until that stops to happen, dude, then I'm just gonna keep going. But as of now, I feel great, and my performances speaking for themselves.
Absolutely. Whenever you go around different events in the area, you got people coming up to you. They recognize you. You got kids looking up to you, trying to get to where you're at. Is it pretty cool now to be in a position where the younger fighters in the gym, aspiring fighters, are asking you for advice?
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I'm really enjoying helping out in the gym too. And the guys that I see, like there's this, kids that you see at the events I saw years ago in Florida, and now I see them at my last fight, and they're young adults, when they're going to college and shit, and it's like, holy shit. I remember seeing some kids that was, I was giving them their autograph in Florida at Rise of a Warrior when I was an amateur, and then I see them at my BKFC fight, and they're in college. Like, I was like, wow. But I'm excited for the young guys we got over here that grown up with me in the gym. So like these kids have been in the gym since 5 years old, 6 years old, and now they're just starting to get their amateur career going, and they're gonna be studs, man.
Absolutely, man. All right, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome December 20th when you make your return to the BKFC against Stash?
Perfect outcome, as always. A few rounds to entertain the fight, the fans. A little bit of everything. I get to show off some footwork, some speed, some defense, and then get that big finish. That's really what it's all about. Put it all together. Try to translate some things I've been working on in the gym with some tight defense and counters, and ultimately just set up for the big kaboom.
Absolutely. Well, Rico, man, always enjoy talking with you, brother. Always a pleasure. Can't wait to see you fight, man. It's been a minute. Really excited and looking for a good performance.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. I'll be ready 100%. So you will be entertained. That is 100% fact.
Absolutely. That's it for us today. I'm Carl Peruzza. He is Mr. Rico Disciullo. You can watch him. Check out Stash Kuykendall December 20th. Make his return. BKFC. Take care, my fans.